Hello creative cooks, welcome back to another episode on the Creative Phoebe Cooks channel. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Today I'm making 3 different recipes. A bean salad, you'll be glad to make this summer. A Champurrado, which is a Mexican corn-based drink, as well as some Gorditas. I'm also doing some plantain. I'm planting some sweet potato slips that have been rooting on my kitchen counter. It's gonna be an exciting video, and I would love to hear all about what you loved about this video. Let's continue the chat in the comment section below. I've been growing a whole bunch of bok choy. I feel like this summer I'm really going to learn a lot about bok choy, so it's getting some roots on my kitchen counter. While that's going on, I'm going to be measuring out some olive oil. This is the olive oil I'm going to use to make the corn dough for the gorditas instead of using shortening. This is a plant-based alternative. So I highly suggest that you measure out the olive oil and store it in the freezer so it can solidify. While that's going on, put some beans in a pot together with some water to boil. These beans have been pre-soaked overnight. I put them in the freezer because I planned well in advance for that and didn't have the time to cook it right after soaking. After a few minutes of boiling the beans, crack the lid so that the water doesn't overflow and let the beans cook for about 45 minutes until they're very well softened. These are pinto beans, if I didn't mention that already, and I have the full recipe for this bean salad on my website at creativephoebe.com. After straining out the beans, save the water. You can use that to boil some rice. That's a good way to reduce waste. And let the beans cool while you prepare the other ingredients to make the bean salad. For that, you'll need some cucumbers. You can use zucchini instead of cucumbers if you prefer. I also have here some red onions that I'll be seasoning with lime juice to kind of soften the onion strands. You can cut them up into semicircles or slices, whichever you prefer, and set that aside in a bowl. I have here some sweet peppers. If you prefer, you can use heirloom tomatoes. It doesn't matter. Make this bean salad as you see fit. Even though the summer bean salad isn't technically Mexican, pinto beans are quite a staple in lots of Mexican cooking, especially when used to make refried beans, stuff like that. Once you're done slicing up the peppers or your tomatoes, save those seeds so you can have a summer garden of either peppers or tomatoes. I started preserving my key limes in water and storing it in the fridge, and I find that the skin doesn't get as bitter, as well as the juice doesn't get as bitter, and it also helps the key limes to stay fresh for a longer period of time. So I'm gonna extract some fresh key lime juice. If you prefer, you can use some apple cider vinegar for that extra benefit of natural probiotics. For the key lime juice, use as much or as little as you want, depending on how tart you want your salad to be. Season those onions together with the lime juice with fine Himalayan salt and black pepper. I'm also going to be adding some fresh garlic cloves to the salad, and that would just be sliced. You can crush them, you can mince them, whatever you prefer. Add the seasoned onions to the totality of the salad elements in the bowl. I'm also adding an extra touch of flavor by using some capers together with fresh herbs, and that would include fresh cilantro as well as some Greek basil from my garden. You can use parsley, you can use dill, You can use some oregano, whatever you prefer. You can even add in some mint for that extra taste of mint. Taste your bean salad to make sure everything tastes well, because once you're done mixing it, all you're gonna do is cover it up, store it in the fridge so that it can chill, and will give all the elements in there to mingle and the flavors to be more intensified. So you definitely want to adjust the flavors beforehand. For this segment of the video, my sister and I are going to be planting some sweet potato slips, because this summer I want to experiment with growing sweet potatoes. I've participated in that activity in my childhood, but now as an adult I'm getting more and more intrigued with planting. So my sister is helping me make some holes in this old storage box that we're going to turn into a planter. Enjoy this segment. I won't be doing a lot of voiceover because we are definitely chatting it up while engaged in this activity in nature.
I'll be the gardening expert, but I'm the gardening supplies expert.
Y'all heard that? I hope y'all heard that.
Listen, we good.
Here I have 2 bags of soil. Fun fact, there was a neighbor who dug up the front side of her yard because she was laying some mulch on it, and she was gonna throw all the soil in the trash. And one time when I was on my way to take some items to the trash, I saw her carrying these heavy bags of soil, and believe me, they're very, very heavy. And I asked her, what are those bags? She said there's soil. I was like, ooh, I'll need those, because imagine having to carry this big bags of soil all the way from the grocery store. I'm so glad, like, thank you God. I really am glad that this worked out in my favor. So I'm going to be using those bags of soil to fill up this new container to plant the sweet potato slips.
Wow, that's a lot of soil. That's awesome. Oh yeah, this is good.
Even the tissue. Hey, guys, that's not composted. Oh, Jesus.
There's an apple in here.
Ah.
Okay, let me get the other bag of soil.
Oh, by the way, let me know in the comment section below what you're growing in your garden this summer. I would love to know. I am constantly learning. At this moment, I'm thinking about what is a good companion plant for these sweet potatoes. In an updated video, I will be sharing that I planted some dill. I want to see how that works out. I'm also thinking about adding in some marigolds, because I did read up some really good information about what benefits they do add to the soil that will help the sweet potatoes grow well. And if you have any other tips, please add them to the comment section below. I appreciate you for doing that.
Recycle. Awesome. I think it's time to put in the slips, right?
What was that?
Time to put in the slips.
Yeah, we can.
Let's make holes.
Okay.
I think I might just have to use. I wish I'd used my gloves. I wish I'd used my gloves.
You're in touch with the earth, don't worry.
That's a good way to look at it.
Most people need to be doing this. But what are they doing? Oh my God, AI.
in a room, babes.
After planting, it is the perfect time for me to make the gordita corn doughs, and I'm gonna be feasting on it, and I'll let you know how I liked it after showing you how I made them. So for the corn dough, it's completely gluten-free. It's a combination of masa harina, some Himalayan salt for seasoning, as well as some water. Very, very similar recipe to making a corn tortilla dough. I also have a recipe for that on my website at creativephoebe.com. I'm adding in the solidified olive oil I had prepared earlier on in the video. After adding in the solidified olive oil, it may have been slightly toured by the time you added it to the dough, and that's completely fine. Knead it into the dough until the dough feels very fluffy. And there's no way you can overwork it because it doesn't have any gluten in it. Then form about 6 to 8 pieces of dough. I'm making my gorditas fairly on the larger side, but you can make them smaller. I'd say don't make them too small because the goal is to fill up the corn dough to make really amazing gorditas. And when you're forming them, make sure that the sides of the dough have a nice height to them. I'd say maybe about half an inch to an inch. You also want to make sure that these cook through. So the thicker you make them, the longer they'll cook. For these sizes, each of the pieces I made weighed about 130 to 135 grams. Feel free to use a parchment paper to form them evenly if you can't form them using your hands. Then cook the corn doughs in a hot cast iron skillet or a comal, whichever you have. In Mexican homes, they'll have a comal, and then each gordita cooks for about 17 to 22 minutes because they're quite big. But you gotta keep flipping them every 6 to 7 minutes to make sure that they're cooking evenly on each side and not getting brown. I like to cook about 3 to 4 at a time so that I do not crowd the cast iron skillet and they all get some breathing room and I'm able to flip them with ease. Then after they're all done cooking, save the cooked masa dough, which is also the corn dough, on a baking rack so that they do not sweat, and repeat the cooking process for the remaining pieces of flattened corn dough. We're making some champurrado, and champurrado is an atole, a Mexican corn-based drink. And what that means is it's gonna have some masa flour in it. Normally, hot chocolate is made with cocoa powder, right? But in Mexico, champurrado is made with chocolate tablets. They come in these pretty tablets. You can cut them in half or in quarters depending on how much hot chocolate you want to make. I'm cutting mine in half and I'm using the Ibarra brand of chocolate tablets, and they've done perfectly well for me. We're going all out when it comes to Mexican cooking today. So I'm going to start off by adding some milk to the pot. You can use coconut milk or almond milk. I'm mentioning those options because this is completely plant-based. Then I'll be adding some whole cloves to the saucepan, as well as some allspice powder and cinnamon powder. You can add in an entire cinnamon stick, but for me, I find that that's a bit too overpowering. Then add in some nutmeg and a chocolate tablet, masa flour, and water. to touch a little bit on the chocolate tablet. It was about maybe my third or fourth time using it to make Mexican hot chocolate a few times, just to test out the recipe before sharing it online. It does have sugar in it as well as cocoa, so you may not need to add sugar to the hot chocolate when you're ready to drink it. After the hot chocolate has come to a really nice simmer and it's hot, pour it into the blender to blend all the cloves. If you added a piece of cinnamon stick in it, that one will also break down. And then when you're ready, you can strain this hot chocolate before you're ready to serve it, or serve it as is without straining it. I didn't strain mine, and you know what? It still tasted fine. And I did serve it with a cinnamon stick and a few dusting of cinnamon powder here and there just to amplify it. I think that's a tasteful alternative to add more cinnamon instead of making it overpowering from the beginning. This right here is a very, very indulgent hot chocolate. I don't think I'll ever want to make just the hot chocolate mix from the sachet. Gosh, I can't remember when last I did that. I always like to make my hot chocolate from scratch, and Mexican hot chocolate is quite a nice addition to my list of top favorites. You can also make it without the masa flour, and that would make the hot chocolate less thick. I'm serving the gorditas. All I did was slice the corn dough in half, but not all the way through, and then stuffed it with some bean salad, some baked plantains I had made, as well as a nice topping of salsa verde. It's time to eat. It's time to feast. Y'all have been watching this video up until this point, and I really appreciate you. When you try out any of these recipes, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. If you follow me on TikTok or Pinterest, tag me. I think it's possible to tag me on TikTok. I'm not sure. I'm still learning about these different social media platforms. If you join my live cooking sessions as well, thank you so much. And with that said, have a good one, enjoy your week, and we'll chat again in another video. Later.